So then, how we doing, people? It's probably a video that I just find quite pointless, to be honest, if I'm going to be real with everybody here. I just find it's going to be a bit pointless to talk about a preview when, about a football game that really there's only one team in this. I really, really do feel that it's only one chance for just one chance or outcome of this game, and that being solely a Liverpool win. And Manchester United, what hope have we got of going to Anfield, a place that the last time we won at Anfield was when Louis van Gaal was in charge. The last time we scored a goal was when Mourinho was in charge. That was his final game. That's the last time we got a goal at Anfield. So if for some reason in this clusterfuck of a season that we're going to waltz into Anfield and get anything that isn't a complete and utter decimation, then hell will have officially frozen over. And there's probably a percentile chance of us actually getting something that isn't a loss at Anfield, probably sitting somewhere in maybe the 1000th decimal place, perhaps, if we want to talk about percentages. And the team that we go with as well is another factor that we've got to think about here. The common choices or the frequent choices that that Ten Hag likes to select or likes to pick, most of which are not available. So if, say, the following absentees in Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, or Martial are all absent from the matchday squad, then we are looking at a perhaps different setup of the team, perhaps a different structure to the team. And I suppose that's probably going to be the only entertaining thing for Manchester United fans for this weekend whatsoever. I think it's going to be the only entertaining factor. What does Ten Hag do if he hasn't got XYZ players available? He's got no Bruno. Mason Mount's not fit either. So what does his midfield look like? Who plays where? What setup is he going with? Do we finally see a double defensive midfielder role occur with then another defensive midfielder playing just in front of them, or a flat three in midfield? Who knows? But by the looks of the personnel that we have available, the likelihood on the cards as to how we want to set up a team against Liverpool should, by common logic, set up to be a team that sits deep and soaks up pressure to then break on the counter-attack. We've got a bit of pace in the team to enact counter-attack, and that's probably something that we've not actually done specifically this season. The thing is that I don't know if Ten Hag actually would recognise that that's what we need to do and then actually set the team up to do that. I don't know if he is going to think about, actually playing counter-attack at Anfield. And it's probably the wisest thing to do. I mean, we've practically already lost the game. So I would walk into this game as you're already at a big disadvantage. Don't let yourselves get completely just destroyed in every single dimension possible by playing open, attacking, and not really covering all bases defensively. This Liverpool team will play high line. We know how we can beat high lines. The players in this team know how they beat high lines. So if they're playing high line, sit deep, you know, flood the box with players and, use pace on the counter attack. A bit more sort of direct nature with the balls as far as the quality of the ball or the out ball. Perhaps this is where Sofian Amrabat might be a big shout. And do you know what? Amrabat, for someone who's got quite a high range of passing, this might be an ideal game for him. He's going to be having to do amount of defending like you've never seen a defensive midfielder ever have to do, right? It's kind of not that difficult if you're in Man United's case, because most of our midfielders don't like defending anyway. So it's going to be a tough fixture, even if we pick the perfect team available, we set up for the perfect game plan possible, even if with all of those things going sort of lined up next to each other, even if we have everything our way, it doesn't change the fact that it's Liverpool at Anfield. This team just don't lose at Anfield ever. I mean, unless you get a Real Madrid come to town, then it's a different story. But no, like seriously, like when's the last time a British opposition or a British club has actually gone to Anfield and won a game of football? Never mind being the better team, but just won a game of football. I can't remember the last time that, you know, Anfield has actually seen their team, well, seen Liverpool lose in, a Premier League competition. It must be, we must be talking years at least, surely. We must be talking years. And that's kind of something that we have to find a ways of somehow overcoming it. And do I believe we've got the opportunity? Do I believe we've got the tools to actually overcome that? For me, I solely from what I've seen this season, from what by individual basis, from what I've seen from these players, I don't believe there's any hope with any team, any lineup, any instance, none whatsoever, unless Liverpool, for some reason, for some weird, wacky reason, should come to Anfield and just shit the bed. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Liverpool are going to shit the bed. Is whenever Manchester United's in town, they want to impress. Unfortunately, it's not going to take them much to impress. It's not going to take them much whatsoever. So the work for us is cut out. It's um, it's going to be probably one of the longest 90 minutes that United fans are ever going to have to bear for this season. A lot of fans are pinning that this game should be the last game for Eric Ten Hag. Now, whatever you guys want to think about with Eric in, Eric out, Eric shake it all about, whatever you want to think about it. For me, I've laid the letter of the law from my standpoint, from my viewpoint, that there's just it's a futile thing, right? It's a futile um, ideology. It's a futile concept. And with the talks of Graham Potter, now Graham Potter, I suppose I've not actually given my thoughts on this. Graham Potter, I think, is again one of those sorts of managers where I think he goes into a team that's not quite at the level that he's used to. But in a world of sink or swim, for someone as a manager who doesn't get to control the cards, you kind of have to have all the cards in your favour if you're going to have a real fair shot or real fair bite at the cherry. And for me, like I believe Ten Hag, we will never know how good he could have been for Man United any manager that has worked under the Glazers will never truly know just how good that manager could have been unless we had a proper elite level football structure in place at the club. We'll never know, because the thing is, with managers that per se are under pressure, or if they've got their backs against the wall, I mean, your mind is not necessarily clear, your mind is not necessarily coherent, and some of your decisions will baffle a lot of people, but also warped perception over people who are not happy with you. They're going to find every micro negative, and it will present itself by a much bigger picture, a more grander scale than perhaps it should do. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Ten Hag has made some real wacky decisions, and to be quite frankly honest, if it were Real Madrid, for argument's sake, if he were to make some of the decisions that he's made at Real Madrid, he probably would have been out the door a long time ago. That being said, we're not Real Madrid. We're Manchester United, a club with a different culture and a country with a different culture. The fans in Real Madrid probably would have had him stuck on the end of a pike and paraded through the streets of Madrid. But that's just difference in football fan culture. For me, Graham Potter, it's one of those things where this club it's just completely irrelevant to managers that we have. It doesn't matter. It really well and truly doesn't matter what managers that we have, because the same old sob story is going to always come to the surface. It always does. The cream rises to the top. And it's like all the time, you don't drink the drink. What they do is they get the spoon or they get a big cup or something and they push the cream to the bottom, but that cream's always going to come back up. And that's kind of the nature of the beast between manager and player relations at Manchester United. No manager will ever get a tune out of this squad. Whenever there is toxicity, the manager is always on the chopping block. You change the manager, new manager comes in, same players, same problems. You're not actually changing the root cause. The root cause continues to spew the toxicity, and everything that you bring in gets infected. And this is the thing. People assume, let's get someone else in, it will remove the toxicity, let's get him some players, and we'll be fine. No, you don't understand it. The players that worked for LVG became toxic. The players that worked and came in for Mourinho became toxic. The players that worked and came in for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer became toxic. The players, and you see where this is going, the players that Erik ten Hag brings in gradually with the next manager, those players that came in under Ten Hag will learn the toxic ways, and then they will become a problem as well. And that's the common denominator. The toxicity just only passes on. It's like the conversation um, about energy. You can't destroy energy. You can only transform it. That's kind of the essence of toxicity. You can't destroy it once it's there. You can only change it, transform it. But at the end of the day, toxicity is still toxicity. Like painting a turd gold. Still a turd. It's still going to be exactly what you think it is, and you're still going to be repulsed by it. So, on that basis, take toxicity and throw it out. Players, get out. The door is there. And then we can have the conversation about the manager. Then we can have the conversations. Oh, but are you actually fit for this job? Are you a good mold for this job? Then I will sit here and I will say, Eric, I don't believe that you are going to be the right man to get us to where we need to go. So we're going to explore alternative options. Thank you for your service, but Foxtrot Oscar on those along those lines. And that's perhaps what we have to do. But the fact of the matter is that fans that say that let's sack the manager and only change the manager, you have enabled the players to understand what it is they need to do to escape punishment with every single time they wrong their manager. You enable them. You let them get away with it. You sit there and you say, but that manager was crap. He was never good enough. The same manager that you were absolutely creaming it all over everyone's timelines on social medias that this guy was going to be the next Pep. This guy was going to be the next Klopp. Whatever helps you sleep at night. The next Arteta. I mean, God Christ Almighty, if anyone ever thinks that. But that's exactly the situation that we're in. That's the picture that presents itself in front of us. That we have got players that know and understand just how they can rig the system. But fans, we've got to say, stop. You've got to say stop. You've got to call those players out whenever it is they openly throw the manager under the bus. And that will count for every time that you see players not fighting for that shirt on the pitch. And that's got to come from that's got to come from the fans that are actually at the stadium. It's got to come from the fans. It's got to be you've got to be vocal with it. And people will talk about this conversation. Oh, you never boo the players. You always support your team at the stadium. But it's like, as much as you want to do that, it's a different scenario. It's not a simple case of you cheer for your team to whether they win or lose. It's not like that to me. It's not like that at all. We're not in that ballpark anymore. We're in the ballpark of, are those players actually playing for the manager and the fans, or are they just playing to incite change or to bring around change, which is really, really damaging for the club because it destroys integrity of the club, but it also impacts the perception of the club. So if you start throwing games and deciding, you know what, screw it, we're going to just deliberately lose just so that we can get this fraud manager out. If you say that, then everyone looking at you from the outside in was going to think, wow, so glad I don't go there, so glad I don't work there, so glad I don't do business with them. And that's why we're a laughing stock. That's why we're a laughing stock. Everyone from the outside looking in can laugh and they enjoy it. They want us to stay here forever. Unfortunately, guys, rival fans, there's one thing I have to say to you, is that the way we're doing things and the way we're clowning around is, unfortunately for you, but also to some quite fortunate, it's unsustainable, and we're currently on the downwards trajectory by a consistent. The club is on a downwards trajectory. The players are feeding into that. The players are primarily a major part of that. So we are constantly moving downwards. And we might come to a point where it's untenable and something happens. You know, I mean, as far as finances, the conversation about finances, we are in all sorts of trouble. Now, there's plenty of videos out there by other United content creators, I'm sure, that could very, descriptively describe to you the state, the figures, the facts and the figures of the financials. But from what I hear, from what I see, the story is that those that pay attention, they are quite nervous. They are quite nervous about where this club is going. And usually fans would say, "Oh, we're going to be finishing lower down the table for a couple of seasons." That's not really something to be nervous about. It's because we're not nervous about going down the table. We're nervous about how unsustainable the club's operations are, that we might not be able to stay as a football club with how untenable the finances might end up becoming. We are heading the right direction to swamping in to administration. We are walking that tightrope. Now we need someone like a Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come in and change it, turn us around and get us heading back the other way. But as it stands right now, we are heading down the wrong path. However long it would take for us to end up getting to, to end up landing in shit creek, there's no real telling how long it would take or how far away from end game we are for Manchester United Football Club as a football club and as an entity. Probably a long way off, most likely, but you never truly know until everything really starts to present itself on the spreadsheets and everyone can have a look at those, and whatever people, financial experts, if they start to say, "Oh wow, well, look out for Manchester United, they're in trouble, they're in big trouble." If financial experts start talking about Manchester United in a negative aspect, then we are finished. We'll essentially be finished. And Sir Jim Ratcliffe, if we want to talk about putting financial burdens to pastures, then he's probably going to have to get the checkbook out and stick an awful lot of zeros on it. He's going to have to stick an awful lot of zeros on it just to dissuade or push us out of the situation that we find ourselves in financially. But as far as the game's concerned, the team, I could not tell you what the team's going to be. I do not know what the team is going to be. I would ideally like for you guys to pop in the comments what, with the players we have available, or the question marks over some of the players' availabilities, what kind of a team are you guys going with? What sort of a lineup are you guys opting to put out? Because I have no clue what the plan for Eric is going to be. As far as the scoreline is concerned, I don't know what the scoreline is going to be, because I don't know how poor that we're going to be. Do you know what? I might. Some people might say that I'm super negative. I, to be honest, might think I'll be landing somewhere in the average, between the extremities of some fans saying, "No, we're going to lose like 5,000-0 or something," or we might get to a certain scoreline and we would just walk off the pitch or something. Now, you might get some extreme predictions like that. I'm going to go a bit more reasonable than that and say between a 3-2 or 4-0 to Liverpool, because that's what we usually do. That is what we usually do. Even under Ollie, we went to Liverpool, got slapped up. Five goals conceded pretty much most times. We're also doing that at home. So, yeah, 4-0 sounds relatively reasonable. I don't know what you guys think. Do be sure to leave your thoughts about the scoreline predictions in the comments, whether you guys think that it is going to be a blowout, or whether you think, it'll be a tightly contested game. We'll be back and forth. I think it's one of those where there's no real happy ending for Manchester United. If somehow Manchester United were to end up getting a win from Anfield, I will unleash the biggest apology to every single person on the internet. Like I have to think about who I'm apologizing to, but I will just have to stick out like a sincere apology if we were to end up somehow winning that game. And I mean, it's most likely not going to happen. But I mean, what? I mean, football's football. We've done things this season that just we shouldn't have done. Like we've won games that we just shouldn't be winning, right? And I don't think that's going to be the case on Sunday. And probably ain't going to have to issue any apologies. But do you know what? I'll be glad to be proven wrong. Really glad to be proven wrong, but it's not going to happen. Let's be real. It's not going to happen. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know your thoughts and feelings over the starting lineups as to what your predictions are going to be. Who is, and this is a question, who is the captain going to be? Bruno's not available. Maguire's not available. The guys, I know people are like, well, Casemiro or Martinez. I probably would be Varane. I mean, Varane's captains Manchester United once or twice before, but I think it is just that. So probably Varane would end up being captain. But let me know what you guys think, and also do be sure to leave your score predictions in the comment section as well. On top of that, make sure you like the video. Let's try and build up as many likes as possible. The videos, for some reason, I'll do a live stream, lots of viewership. Then I'll go into a video, and it's just like one or two people see it. I don't know what it is about YouTube if my content is not actually being pushed out as much. If I'm not doing live stream to video or just keeping doing live streams, but it shouldn't really change an awful lot. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Match reaction at after the game probably won't be straight after the game. Might be later on in the evening. As for tomorrow, I might be jumping onto a what's the last game tomorrow? So 5:30 Burnley Everton game. That's not that entertaining. If there's no actions for watch longs, I might just do something as like a chilled stream. Just talk about all the games going on the weekend and cover all sorts of topics. So you are more than welcome to join me on that stream, and I'll opt to try and make it a stream as well. And come join in for some good chats, some good bants, and all of that good stuff. And until then, we'll see you later. I've got my chocolate milk here. Go see how Nottingham Forest are faring against the Chicken on a Basketball Club. Hello, mate. Hello, mate. Tottenham's high line, loving high lines instead. But it's, yeah, it is what it is, people. Anyways, take care, everybody. Make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Score predictions and team selections in the comment section, and we'll be seeing you maybe on someone else's. Well, might be on someone else's channel, but it might also be on my channel. But keep an eye out for me to be on the live wire tomorrow evening, and then match reaction on Sunday. Murder reaction. I'm calling it murder reaction because it's going to be murder. But anyways, take care, everybody, and speak to you all soon. Take care.